Welcome to Riding the Trauma Train, or welcome back if we've shared this space before. I'm Lydia, your host and fellow passenger in this journey of self-healing, inner strength and personal growth. This podcast is a safe, judgment-free space dedicated to the realities of living with and healing from trauma. Through personal stories and in-depth conversations with special guests, including therapists, healers, practitioners, and fellow survivors, we look at what healing can truly look like in everyday life. We explore realistic healing journeys and share simple, sustainable practices and actionable tools to support your well-being along the way. So grab your ticket, take a seat, and remember you are not on this journey alone. Today, we are joined by Emily, the host of the Unshrinkable Podcast with a very catchy tune. Emily is an organisational consultant and someone who has reversed her diagnosis from PTSD and BPD through self-healing, where she developed the meta therapy model. And by using this, she now mentors women on their own mental health and healing journeys. So grab your ticket, take a seat, and remember, you do not have to travel this journey alone. Emily, welcome to this episode of Riding the Trauma Train.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're very welcome. I'll just give a little bit of background about us. We've known each other for the last 10 years, but we met a month ago, and I kind of almost got into your DMs on TikTok, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I need to speak to this woman. And the first time we ever spoke, we were like talking, we had to stop because it was getting on to like the 2-hour mark. And then that's what we've done ever since. It's been amazing. I think we've been on the same journey, but different paths, I think is a good way to put it.
Same train.
Yeah, same train, different carriage.
Yeah.
Same train, different carriage. Right, I need to coin that one. Tell me about Emily.
Well, thank you for the lovely intro. If I do, by the way, those of you watch, if I look to the side, I'm just checking the baby monitor because I got baby sleeping. Tell you a bit about Emily. First of all, I do want to mention that I'm formally trained as an organizational consultant. That was my master's, but I don't work as I brought that into the work that I do with women, mentoring and training and coaching and consulting for women, because I see this as an organization, right? And like, this is your business and you're the boss of it, and we're going to help you make this a success. So that's the way, like, I literally bring over my organizational consulting into the work that I do today. But I'm also a behavioural scientist now because I just started my PhD.
Yay!
And I have to throw that in there because it's been a long time waiting and I'm celebrating it.
Absolutely.
So,
celebrate the joys.
Yes. So, and the wins, it's a big fucking win that I'm here because I don't have a high school diploma. I didn't graduate high school. I'm a high school dropout. And so the fact that I'm doing my third degree is something that I do want to celebrate and share. Yay.
Absolutely. Round of applause.
Thank you.
Obviously, you've just said that you didn't have a diploma. Now you're on the way to 3 degrees. However, there is a healing journey here, isn't there? And if anybody goes to your first ever episode of Unshrinkable, it's kind of like in a nutshell. So can you dial that down and just explain how MTM came about?
Okay, so I went through a bunch of trauma in my childhood, and then in my teens and in my 20s, and it became like a theme and a pattern. And it was sexual abuse primarily, but there was also psychological abuse and childhood emotional neglect, CEN. I remember there's like a scale that you can do, like an assessment of childhood trauma, ACE, I think it's called, or so. There's some kind of assessment, and if you get like it's until 10, and then how bad was your trauma kind of thing, or how much trauma have you been through, or childhood trauma. Anyway, childhood adverse childhood experiences, ACE. Yeah. So I rated pretty high on that one. So yeah, I went through a whole bunch of stuff that culminated in me getting a diagnosis age 21 of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and borderline personality disorder. This was 15 years ago. Today, I believe that would have been diagnosed as complex PTSD because often it's those two things together. And I was self-medicating with alcohol, drugs. So yeah, substance abuse. And I also, I dabbled in a whole other bunch of disorders like bulimia and anorexia, like all these different things, cutting, self-harming, like, I've
It's
been through a whole,
but it's
like,
all big
bunch of
pieces
different
of the
things.
puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
it's like I'm suffering, and so how can I, like, hurt myself or, like, the cry for attention kind of like,
Mhm.
"Something's wrong, someone help me, I don't know what to do," and so you're, like,
Yeah.
literally grabbing at straws kinda thing. So that was my experience. I ended up really liking drinking. That was the way for me to kinda, escape and numb, and drugs. And yeah, that culminated in my diagnoses, which I then went into a whole bunch of different treatments for therapies, meds, lots of different meds. Somehow I was still functional, semi-functional. Somehow I was in my I managed it was the 3rd year of my BA and I somehow managed to graduate. So I'm quite a high functioning, high achieving person anyway. So I was semi-functional at this point. And yeah, somehow I managed to get through those 20s, but I've realized that therapy for me was a lifeline at some point, but then it was like, okay, now what? Like, I get
Mm.
it. I know I've been through a lot of shit. And yes, thank you for validating me and for seeing me and holding space for me and being a safe space for me and providing the space for me to talk and to have someone to come to, et cetera, et cetera. But there were quite a few pieces of traditional therapy that I struggled with, which was, for example, that it didn't feel like a mutual kind of equal dynamic. They were the therapist and I was the patient. I had to bare my soul and they weren't allowed to tell me anything. Like the
Mm.
boundaries were very, very strict. And that kind of created a distance and a divide that made me feel inferior in a way. Like I'm not as good as them. Like they've got their shit
Powerless,
together.
I
You know,
suppose.
and a bit disempowered, yeah.
Yeah.
And I also and dependent as well. I felt like, okay, I need to see my shrink, I need to see my shrink. And I didn't like that I had to wait a week in between sessions. So sometimes I'd have twice a week, and then it's so much money. I really did
Mhm.
not like all the money being spent. Luckily, my parents were supporting me financially, with that. And so, and I know so many people don't have that kind of support. And I also didn't like that none of them told me that I could change. That I could literally like reverse my diagnoses and heal my shit and that life could be very, very, very different. And so, yeah, had a bit of a issue with that one. But yeah, I got to the point where I said, okay, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. There's a whole different factors and pieces that kind of led up to that. But I got to the point where I was like, okay, I want tools. I want to change. And I figured it out. I deep dove into self development, self help, psychology, like I started to read and just consume, 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 and then I started implementing as well, and things started to change. I got sober, I took up yoga, I went back and got my master's in organizational behavior and development because I realized that I wanted to solve problems. I wanted to learn how to solve big problems. I didn't want to go the traditional therapy route because of my criticisms with traditional therapy, and problem solving felt like this is awesome. And at the time I wanted to like help save the world, not like people, not save, like I
Yeah.
wanted to save many people, like the collective as opposed to the individual. So yeah, I was very mission driven. That was a big piece as well, like meaning, like finding purpose and a path. Like that was really a drive, an intrinsic drive. And yeah, and so then when I finished my degree, my master's, I had babies. I found it like everything started happening the minute I chose me and the minute I started healing myself and showing up for myself and making those decisions and making those changes, everything like domino effect started falling into place. And I found myself with second baby due in COVID, starting my PhD and thinking like, shit, people need help now. Like
Yeah.
I can maybe help people now because I have I've had such success with my self-healing journey. Maybe I can help people the way I've helped myself. And I realized that I have a little strategy to it. And it was the problem solving strategy that I learned in my master's. And I was just like, shit, this is an organization. Like this is
Mhm.
working. Like this is helping me. I've got a framework. And so I put it all together. I did it with whiteboard markers on my glass table in the kitchen. I remember
Nice.
I've
I
got
love
pictures
that.
of it. Like I've mapped it all out, and I was like, this is a model. This is an actual thing. And I did like a content analysis on the whole self development, self help, psychology, whatever, like the whole industry, mental health industry. I was like, what are common themes and what are common, and like and I came up with a model, and I've been using that ever since on myself and with my clients, and it is really efficient, really effective. And so now I'm taking the next step and I'm formalizing it, and I've started my PhD now to hopefully get it out there. It's meta therapy,
Mhm.
which for me is in the name. It's like meta means like beyond. It's like more than the thing that you're adding it to. It's like meta therapy. It's like the next level of therapy, like next generation of wellness kind of thing. So yes.
Love that. Especially with if you think about generational trauma, the
Hmm.
meta therapy is literally kind of I think there's lots of like videos, aren't there, with generational trauma where you've got a glass and that's like full of mud and then it like each one pours down. So that's basically what the meta therapy is. You know the generations on that you've healed those people. I'd love to know that my trauma and my history stopped with me. My children aren't going to get any of that.
Hmm.
And that's meta therapy. I love that is literally beautiful. That's the only way I can describe it. It's beautiful. So
Thank you.
when you talk about the MTM,
Hmm.
we'll call it that because otherwise it's going to be a mouthful the
Yeah.
whole way through. You say that there are 4 pillars. Is it the 4 C's that you use?
Yeah. So there's it's like two layers to it. The first layer is the 4 C's, the 4 pillars of self-development, self-healing, self-actualization. And then there's the 4 steps, which is the 4 step strategy to solving any problem that you will kind of get confronted with as you go through life. So the 4 pillars are curiosity, conditioning, conditions, and commitment. Those are the 4 main pillars that I have found to be universally talked about, covered, etc., in the mental health world. So that
Hmm.
includes like traditional psychology and all the various modalities, alternative modalities, as well as self-help, self-development, all of that. So those are the 4 main themes that you will find again and again and again. And then the 4 step strategy is from the organizational consulting. So it's I call it the IDEA model. So it's IDEA: investigate, discovery or diagnosis, education, application. So investigation, discovery, education, application. Those are the 4 steps. Very simple, very straightforward, but surprisingly challenging to do when you're like desperate and frustrated and
Hmm.
struggling and in the thick of it, like when you're reading the shit. Like to then say, hold on, I have a framework. Let me like go through these steps.
Yeah.
Like it's quite challenging to do. But it's literally is the way I do things. So I investigate, analyze the shit out of whatever I'm feeling and realizing that this problem is actually a symptom of a deeper problem.
Hmm.
So that's like lesson number one. Your problems are actually symptoms of problems. And so analyze the shit out of the symptom, diagnose what the actual problem is. Usually it's rooted in fears and traumas and wounding and conditioning. And then get educated on that because you don't need to invent the wheel. There's so many like practices and
Hmm.
exercises and things like, literally you are your own best resource. Google the fuck out of it, like research
Yeah,
it, like how have
absolutely.
other people healed this, and you know you best. And so when you are empowered to be your own healer, you can then also say like, this resonates with me, this doesn't. Like, I'm not going to try that because that doesn't feel like something that I would be able to commit to, right? To like
Hmm.
consistently do or use as a tool, like if it's a breath work, if it's a meditation, if it's a whatever,
Yeah.
and so you then, it's important that you do the self-education, right? And like figure out what kind of thing you can find. And then you apply. Very important piece that people forget. They're like, oh yeah, that's so clever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that'd be really good. Apply it.
Yeah.
Like,
You
try it.
read it and then you just like you can write everything down and then you put it in the
I've
drawer.
con- I've consumed the knowledge, now I know it. Okay. But like,
Yeah.
no, you gotta use it now. Like
Yeah.
actually implement. So it's a very straightforward, simple framework, surprisingly challenging to implement and actually do and go through, but it is totally doable. And yeah, once you do it again, like even it came up with the thing, like I found myself struggling with a challenge or with a problem or whatever. And then I'm just like literally months later, Emily, you have a framework for this. Hold the phone. What are you doing? Why are you like, there's like, someone give me the answer. We're so used to looking outside of us for the answers, right? It's like, someone tell me what to do. Someone help me. Someone give me the answers. And that's fine. Sometimes we do need a coach or a mentor or a guide or whatever. And we reach out
Yeah.
to people. But part of that is also having a community and emotional support, like network as well. That's part of one of the conditions, by the way. There's 5. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of it. But it's all in one model, packaged very nicely.
And when you say about the idea thing, if
Hmm.
when having that framework, when you are in that bubble of darkness or you're in that kind of moment where you literally cannot see the wood through the trees, brushing your teeth is difficult. So trying to actually sit back and analyze that feeling is going to be difficult. But that's where we kind of, like you were saying earlier, like we self-medicate, whether that's with chocolate, with alcohol, with sex, with going to the gym, run, like anything that's outside of us that we're trying to kind of work through and make that thing heal us. But it's not going to work.
That's the basic. The 4 pillars are like the the foundations, right? So let's say, so commitment is one of them. If you can't commit, you can't even brush your teeth. So you're struggling with one of those pillars, right?
Mhm.
So look at the other pillars. There's curiosity. Okay, curiosity. But you can't even think about it. Okay, so let's go to the other pillar, conditioning. It's going to be in your conditioning, right? It's the wounds, it's the
Mhm.
trauma, it's whatever. But we also have the conditions. And the conditions, the fourth pillar, I call it the big five. Across the board, these are the main five that are constantly talked about. Okay. Sleep and nutrition, movement, emotional support, and play, creativity, self expression. So those are the big five that you will see again and again and again and again in the industry coming up and getting them. So if you're not sleeping well, it's going to be hard to function, like even brushing your teeth, right? If you're not eating well, it's going to be that much harder to function as well. Your 95% of our serotonin is produced in the gut, right? So it's important what you eat. It literally impacts your mood. Like I noticed that when I've tried to, like when I've done a like sugar detox, like, okay, I'm cutting out the sugar because I was pregnant. I had a bit more, too much sugar than I, than I wanted to. Um, I was a bitch for like, it was like
Yeah.
PMS bitch kind of for 2, 3 days. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I so like short tempered? And like I was really mean. And I'm like, oh my God, this is sugar. Like, this is the sugar, like, coming out of my, like, it's withdrawal from the sugar. Like, it's
Yeah.
insane how underrated it is. The power
Yeah.
of sleep and food and then movement, which is going to be, which I think is, you're more of an expert on that. But movement is so important, like to move our body. And that is so hard when you are in bed, like I'm under the covers and I just want to curl up and like disappear,
Mhm.
right? Push yourself, like force yourself to move. Just get out, go for a walk, get outside, breathe fresh air, like look at a tree, look at a cloud,
Yeah.
hug a
Hug a
fucking tree, like
tree.
just get out, climb a tree. That could be part of the fun and the self-expression too. But like literally, like really, really important movements. I do yoga, like literally a 5-10 minute stretching session. It's yoga, but you don't even need to call it yoga. Okay.
Yeah.
But literally I stretch 5 minutes every morning and it is a game changer. It shifts I feel different. Like, and if I don't
Yeah.
do it, I feel my body feels, I don't know how to put it into words, but it feels achy and a bit stiff. And the energy then, like I'm feeling a bit like a bit low
Crumpled.
Energy.
That
This
crumpled
is
is
how
what,
I feel.
yeah.
For whoever's watching and whoever's not watching, I'm like a little ball. Like this is how I feel. And then when I do
It's
the
like a ball
yoga,
of
it's like,
paper, isn't it? Like if you screw up a ball of paper, you know
mm-hmm.
it's still a piece of paper, but actually it's crumpled. Whereas if you
Then
stretch it out,
I'm
it's nice and
ironing out the
smooth.
kinks. I'm getting out the wrinkles. I'm a nice piece of flowy paper now.
We've got another little coin phrase there.
Yeah, no, I'm, by the way, all about analogies. Keep them coming. Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
literally like, that is how I feel. I feel after I've done a yoga session, I'm like, I'm lighter. I am like,
Mhm.
oh, now I feel I'm looser. I'm like, okay, bring it. I
Yeah.
completely, it raises the vibration. And I've been doing it nearly daily minus the pregnancies and birth. Like, even though actually I did in this last pregnancy till 9 months, but, birth, like the first month I took off this time.
Yeah.
Daily, like literally daily. I'm addicted to it. Like I need it. My body craves it. And then the fourth one was emotional support. And this is a big one for the people who are struggling to even brush their teeth in the morning.
Yeah.
Emotional support is probably the most foundational and the most neglected, maybe. No, the next one's most neglected, but this one is a big one. They're all big, the big five.
Yeah.
But emotional support, realizing though, I think very few people realize this, that we are our own best resource. And I'm all about like empowerment, right? Like I empower
Mhm.
you to go and get the emotional support that you need. But beyond that, now that I'm out of therapy and I have reversed my diagnosis, the community of women that I have found for myself, I've created that for me. I
Mhm.
did that. Like I created a community of women. And because of the fact that this is my domain and this is the area that I work in, they're all coaches and therapists and
Yeah.
healers. Like I get women in my DM saying, like friends saying like, oh, by the way, I'm putting out this free thing. And so if you know anyone, like let me know. And I'm like, can I see me?
Yeah.
And I get so much shit. Like, oh, it's so awesome. I get so much help and so much support. I feel very, very lucky. But it's like what you focus on, you get more of. And the more I'm focusing on healing myself, the more I'm actually healing, and then that's having a ripple effect, and that's bringing me more healing stuff. Like, it's just positive on positive on positive.
Is the riding the trauma train. Everyone is jumping on at each stop, and I love that.
Yeah,
There's an
yeah, no,
analogy.
but the thing is, well, like, I feel that many people are skeptical about this and don't believe that there are women out there that genuinely just want to support other women.
Hmm.
I feel that that's something that we don't grow up, we get conditioned to think otherwise.
Yeah,
Even like what we're doing here, and I've got a friend that we're doing a workshop at the end of the month, and she said, Emily, I want to show people that even though we have the same audience and we're in similar jobs, that we're not in competition with each other. We're collaborating, we're sharing audiences, we're like growing together by supporting each other. I'm getting the goosebumps as
absolutely.
I'm saying it. And it's like that is something that is really important to me, to put out there and to share, because I feel that especially when you're a survivor, you don't trust people anymore, and you don't trust the world anymore, and you don't trust that anyone's going to look out for you or help you or support you. And I feel that if you're open to believing that it is possible, that there are people out there that want to help you for free as well.
Yeah,
Like, I have a free Facebook group, and it's just for free coaching. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to get back into it now. I'm easing out of maternity leave, but I put out all my content on my social medias, like my
Hmm.
TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm not getting paid for sharing tips and insights and things. Like, I don't get my podcast. I didn't get paid for putting do you know how many
No.
hours of work
Yes, I do.
it is, right? And we're lucky and privileged enough to be able to put in that time, but it is free. Like, it's voluntarily just
Hmm.
putting out there supporting women. So, like, I exist, you exist. Here's proof that people like us exist, that we want to help, we want to support, and
Yeah.
you can find your tribe, you can find a community, you can find emotional support. So that is what I have to say about that one. And the last condition, though, because it is so neglected and underrated, is the self-expression, creativity, joy, play. It is one of the conditions that we do not do. And I think so many survivors specifically completely kind of like lose that one. They just don't have fun anymore. They don't play anymore. They can't even self-express anymore because they've been so wounded and so traumatized and so hurt. And I really believe, I want to kind of invite a little reframe here, that I believe we are often, many of us, are silenced so that one day we will find our voice and we will shout from the rooftops and we will use our voice to help other women. And so I believe that that's just a by the by. But I do think that self-expression, creativity, play, joy is such an important condition that so many of us are like, it's not going to make it in the priority list. Like, my to-do
Hmm.
list today, I've got the kids, I've got the work, I've got the this, I've got the that, I've got me, I need have some fun too. Like,
Yeah.
create. Like, what brings you joy, what lights you up, that has nothing to do with making money or looking after the house or the children or I don't know what. Have some fun. Like, what for you? Like, what lights you up? So that's the fifth one.
Excuse me. How would you say to someone then, when they, if they haven't had fun for a long time? Before I say my question, I just want to say that the emotional support with the networking is a really, really valid point, because if you are somebody that doesn't have family, or you've lost contact with friends because of what you've gone through, I think reaching out to Facebook groups or reaching out to people on TikTok like I did, it's really important, because actually we are people that know. We know you, like, what you've got, what you're going through, what you've been through, how you feel, that horrendous self-loathing and lack of self-worth. We've been there, and we've learned to build it ourselves. So definitely reach out. We'll
Goosebumps
give
all
you
over
all
my
the
whole
link.
body. Wait, I want to just add to that before you move on to your question, because it is so. That is what I'm about. I literally posted about that on Facebook this week, that I said, as a survivor, you have a superpower of deep, deep, deep empathy. You can meet people in their darkness where many other people cannot see. Like, so many, survivors say, I feel so misunderstood, so unseen, so unheard. So imagine how much of a gift and how much power and how much service, like the potential that a survivor has to help someone else, because you've been there, you've done it, you've got all the t-shirts, right? And you can go like, that's another criticism of traditional therapy. I don't fucking know if they've been through what I've been through. Like I'm
Mhm.
coming pouring out my soul, saying how I was held captive and raped every day for 3 months. Like, does the shrink, can she relate to that? I doubt it. Like,
Probably
I
not.
don't know. Maybe, maybe there are some, and I'm sure that there are. But
Yeah.
I feel that today, with the access to the resources that we have and the internet and the social media, and if you consciously consume content and you start to heal your shit, the potential for this, there's a movement happening. Like, I see it, I
Mhm.
feel it. I know I'm in these groups, I'm in these rooms where there are thousands of women that are healing their shit and self-actualizing and fulfilling their potential so that they can then show up and help other people. And I think one of the biggest things is to be able to feel seen and heard and understood. And if you've been through shit, then you have access to that superpower of empathy.
Mhm.
So it's a superpower. Yeah.
So if somebody has been trapped in their grey shadow or trapped in their bubble for a long time,
Hmm.
and play or creativity or fun has not been on their agenda, how would you recommend that they kind of ease into it? What would be like a practice that they could possibly do in order to kind of get themselves out of that?
Experiment, self-expression, and creativity. So those would be the two like keywords there. For me, for example, I in my teen years, I really struggled a lot with like fun and creativity and whatever. So I journaled a lot. I wrote poetry. I have a shit ton of poems that I wrote at the time. And I also love to draw and paint. And that's how I would self-express. And I feel that many people, as you said, let's say even in childhood, they didn't have space for play and fun and joy. And so it would be getting curious, using curiosity, one of those pillars, experimenting with different ways to express yourself. Go to a dance class, just put on some music and have a dance in your room. If that's like the most that you can do, it's awesome. It's something like try something, doodling. And there's, by the way, again, a lot of stuff on social media that's just free as well. Like I've got even on one of my, I've got 2 podcast episodes that are about art therapy and how you use art for healing. And I ask all my guests to give a like an exercise or a tip at the end. So on both of those, there's a tip and an exercise there for using art and like even just doodling and whatever. You don't have to be an artist. You don't have to, you know, be the best high realistic, surrealistic painter, whatever it may be. You don't need to be like a Picasso. You just need to have a hand and a pencil
Mhm.
and a piece of paper. And you could try that. I also know people that draw with their feet and with their mouth. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You just need to have pen and paper basically. But yeah, I just say curiosity, embrace curiosity and experiment and just try things out. And it could literally be just you with a pen and paper or with a song and having a little dance and see how that feels. And at first, by the way, like dancing, for example, can feel extremely uncomfortable. And I think it's probably one of my favorite exercises because if you can work through that, so you mentioned before the self-loathing, there's so much self-judgment. And I think that you don't even have to be crazy trauma survivor to be self-judgmental. Like I think women in general and men, but women as a whole, like we are conditioned to like
Mhm.
compare and judge ourselves. Like, am I pretty enough? Am I smart enough? Am I thin enough? Am I this enough? Am I that? Whatever, right? So I think that letting go of the judgments and just putting on a song and letting go, like just move.
Mhm. Well,
Doesn't matter what
let it
movements you're
go on.
making. Yeah, just go for it. Just let
Yeah.
loose and see what happens and have a laugh. Like laugh at yourself. Be like, "Oh my God, that was a ridiculous move." Like I didn't know I had that in me, or whatever it is. Just have fun with it.
Yeah.
But it's a practice. And at first it will be very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, dancing is definitely one that I do. And that was going to be my suggestion. And doodling, like doodle for me is really, if you, I think I do it when I'm on the phone. Like I literally, and I've been doing this podcast and I've literally had this pencil in my hand. Um, but even if you like, you doodle on a piece of paper and then get a coloring pen and just coloring all the little
Hmm.
gaps and stuff. Um, but also for me, I like to put makeup on. I might not be going out anywhere, but I like to feel good. Nails, do your hair.
Self-expression.
yeah, and even just, or go and have a shower and just feel refreshed, like literally switch it. So I'm doing a free digital download, which is going to be a morning reset for those mornings where, like you said
Right.
earlier, you're in bed, you're under the duvet and you're thinking, I do not want to move. So it's a little checklist where you can tick off, go, got out of bed, brushed my teeth, had a drink. But when we're in that moment, we don't feel it, do we? We don't want to do it. So that was a digression. But anyway, I think
No, I was
dancing,
actually gonna
moving.
speak to that, if that's okay with you, because as you were
Yeah.
saying that, it also I feel that if you go then a step backwards, if you're in that place where you're in bed and you don't wanna get out of bed, if we're already speaking to this person, I guess, then it's how do you get the motivation to do something, to check off that checklist, right?
Hmm.
And for me, and this is something that I can say, lived experience, what helped me get to the point where I was like, I'm gonna make decisions, I'm gonna make choices, I'm gonna self-heal, I'm gonna, get my shit together. It was believing that it was possible. That for me was the first step. And so before I did anything, before I made any changes, before I took any action, I was exposing myself to content and the evidence that would help recondition my system, my belief system, that change is possible, that a better future is possible. That for me is the first thing. Like, if you don't believe that you can change, if you don't believe that you're capable, if you don't believe that you are good enough, if you don't believe that it's worthwhile, if you don't believe that you are worthy and deserving of even changing, like, if you have, that's the first piece. Like, that's where it begins. And I feel that, so if you are in that place where you are under the covers, just hiding from the world and not wanting to do anything, expose yourself to the possibility, to the potential, to the option, to the evidence, to the proof that you can change, that you can get better. And there is a TED talk that I always recommend for this. So I will also give you the content to get you going. Sammy Rangel. It is very, very triggering. So trigger warning. He has one of the most extreme cases of child abuse recorded in American history. And he did a TED talk about 10 years ago. And I watched his TED talk, and it was one of the most pivotal points for me in my journey, because watching his TED talk and hearing his journey was like, if he can change, there is hope for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is capable. There is hope, right? Like, everyone is capable, but you have to believe it first. If you don't believe
Yeah.
it, then you won't. There's a thing called um cognitive bias, where you will seek out subconsciously the evidence to confirmation bias, sorry, to confirm what it is that you believe. So if you believe that you are not good enough, you will constantly be subconsciously looking for that evidence to see, I know I'm not good enough. See, not worthy.
Yeah.
See, I don't deserve it. See, that person said, like, oh, look at you, you're such a fuck up, and la la la. And well, that person's saying, oh, what you doing? What's wrong with you? You're not like doing anything with your life, la 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 la, and it's like, so you see, I'm right, I'm not worthy. See, I'm
Yeah.
not good enough. See, I am a fuck up. See, I am and so that's confirmation bias. And the thing is that you can change that. If you believe that you are good enough and that you are capable of change, and that you do have all this untapped, unfulfilled potential, and that it's not late enough to go and fulfill it. If you can change that belief, then you're going to start subconsciously looking for the evidence to support that. And then everything's changed. Yet you're creating a new reality, because you're going to start taking action on that belief.
And you've done
Belief
that for
dictates
free.
behavior. Pardon?
And you've done that for free. You've done that from your own mindset
Yes.
because so I read an audiobook called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne,
Hmm.
and it was recommended to me by another podcast guest. And it's the law of attraction.
Hmm.
What you think, and I think everyone says what goes out comes back. So what
Yeah.
comes out of your mouth, the universe brings back to you. And I literally was watching a reel yesterday with Dana Grant, and she said the same thing, the law of attraction. Like, I think what the point that you've made is really poignant, because actually the belief that we've had for so many years is the fact that we are not worthy and that we are stuck where we are, but we're not. And that is a reframe that we need to kind of work through. So can you give the listeners a tip on how they could possibly start to reframe? Like, is there something they can say to kind of flip the switch, so to speak?
Well, first, I say expose yourself to a different option, right? Like if all the narrative, if all the time the self-talk and the narrative is the same, you gotta nothing changes if nothing changes, is what I
It's one
say,
of my
right?
favorites.
Yeah. So if you realize that this is your comfort zone, right? This is your familiar, this is your pattern, and that your psyche is keeping you in the familiar because that is perceived as safe, then you will get mental resistance when you try to change. Right. And I think that this is an important, you're not asking for a reframe, but I think it's an important piece of you asking for a reframe. This isn't necessarily a reframe. It's more information and knowledge, educating that I think will create the reframe for you in a way. When you understand yourself and how this works, it's that much easier to work with it and fix it. Not
Hmm.
that you're broken, but like it's easier to change the functioning of something when it's
Yeah.
malfunctioning, when you
Yeah.
understand how to work with it, right?
Yeah.
So basically, your psyche perceives the familiar as safe, even if the familiar is
Hmm.
right. So if your negative, like self perception and self talk, if your self loathing is what is familiar to you, you will be subconsciously, your psyche will be constantly seeking out that self loathing because it's familiar. So it's perceived as safe. So when you realize that that's what's happening to you and you say, okay, that's just part of the system, that's part of the wiring, but I'm the boss. That's not the boss of me. I'm the boss. I want to empower you to be the boss of you. Okay. Because a lot of the time when it comes to trauma, we feel disempowered. Our thoughts have the power over us. Our feelings, the things that happen to us that has power over us, right? We're disempowered, we're powerless. That is trauma, right? Powerless in the
Hmm.
moment, right? And so it's about getting your power back, taking your power back. And so when you realize that this is what's happening subconsciously, it's part of the system wiring, it's the programming, it's the coding, and you're not the wiring, you're not the coding, you're
Hmm.
the boss. You're the
Yeah,
one that can
absolutely.
take the power back and say, hold on, this coding, this wiring doesn't serve me. I don't want to hate myself every time, like all the time.
Hmm.
Like my subconscious wants me to because that feels safe, but I don't want to, right? So that's like when you feel like sometimes there's two sides of you, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of trauma survivors feel like there's
Yeah.
two sides of us, right? There's
You're
like,
being pulled from
I
pillar
want
to
to love
post.
myself and fulfill my potential and have a wonderful life. And the other side's like, no, but you want to hate yourself because you
Yeah.
deserve to be hated and you're shit, right? So that's the system, the wiring that just feels safe to us. But that one is the real you. That's the boss you that's like, I want to step up and I want to fucking change things, right? So listen to that voice more than that voice. And that would be the tip that I have is to understand yourself. Like when you
Yeah.
understand yourself and you understand your system, you realize, oh, shit, it's like you are not your thoughts. You are the thinker of your thoughts. You're not the car, you drive the car. You're not the song, you sing the song. You're not your thoughts, you think your thoughts. Therefore, you have the power to change the thoughts that you're thinking.
Mic drop.
Yes.
When you were talking then, all I could see, like, all the cartoons you get, and they've got one shoulder, they've got the little angel, and then the other shoulder, they've got the little
Hmm.
devil, and they're both going, go on, you can do it. Or you can't do it. Yeah, you can do it. That literally is what was going through my head then. But it's so true. Um, and if you go back to the MTM model where you're thinking of your system as a thing, as a business, actually, like if you think of all those things or all those negative thoughts as a member of staff,
Hmm.
if they were not performing, you'd get rid. If they were doing something against the company policy, you would discipline them. So why do we let those negative thoughts kind of they just keep coming through, don't they? And it's when you've lived it for so long, it's really, really difficult to kind of be like, stop, it's fine, rethink, and then move on. This is where when I'm going through a bad moment, let's say, and all I want to do is eat chocolate, I literally can hear myself walking to the shop if I'm getting like general bits, and I'll be like, no, don't get the chocolate. Yeah, but I want the chocolate. But don't get the chocolate. But I want the chocolate. And it's like, yeah,
The
I got the
struggle is
chocolate.
real, the inner conflict.
People, that's really good. You don't have the belief that you can move forward or that your life can be better. That is where you come in as a coach because you are there to help women that have been through these traumas. You're there to help people navigate or find their platform.
It's more of a
So, how
mentorship
can,
though. Coaching is part of
yeah,
it, right? It's
yeah,
I mean, as a trained consultant, I call it consulting because under the
yeah,
umbrella term of consulting, there's mentorship and coaching and workshop and facilitating change, right? A consultant is a change facilitator. But I do resonate more with a mentor because
okay.
my with my one-on-ones at least, it is like you have access to me in my WhatsApp like every day.
Hmm.
Like if you need me, I'm there for you. That's not a coach, that's not a therapist.
Yeah,
Like, I'm there for you, holding your hand every step of the way. And we can have calls whenever you need the calls. You know, it's not doesn't have to be once a week, it can be. So I see it more as a mentorship.
well, that actually resonates with me. It's like having a professional friend. You know, when these people go off and they go to a wedding and they hire a plus one, I think that the mentorship actually, if my duvet day and I don't know what to do, I've got my mentor, Emily, hi, doodly doodly, and you can help them through.
That's why in the corporate world, business, right? Like corporate
Hmm.
world, mentorship programs are a huge success because you have someone who has achieved what it is that the other person wants to achieve. And so the other person goes and gets advice from them and support from them. And they help them like become better at their job and become a better
Hmm.
performing employee and whatever. And at the end of the day, we want to better perform as bosses and it's a performance thing and it's like
Yeah,
so employee engagement, employee loyalty, like, it's literally I'm applying business to this because we want you are the boss of you, right? And I
absolutely.
think mentorship is just such a I think one of the big ones is McKinsey and there's Deloitte. And so they did a survey that said for every £1 invested in their employee mental health, there's a £5 return on investment. And I think that the corporate world is really showing like realizing that mental health is important for performance. And so when you want to perform better, you want to be a better human. You want to like you want to succeed at life and at humanhood, then mental health like check the mental
Yeah,
health and get yourself a mentor who has been through it and who's done it because that's the best. Like every really successful person, whether it's Oprah, whose mentor was Maya Angelou, or whether it is, I don't know, Justin Bieber or like the big, like even Apple guy, the name
Steve
Apple,
Jobs. No,
Steve Jobs. Yes. Like everyone has had a mentor. Sorry, I blanked.
yeah,
Brain fart. Like every one of these people, when you like read about their stories and their bio, they've all had mentors. It's
yeah.
mentorship is the way to go.
Exactly. And do you know what? So ironically, I have developed a 90-minute online or in person mental health exercise coaching package for businesses because, and it obviously is mental health exercise coaching because movement and exercise, movement and mental health is so important because actually we sit at desk all day and
Mhm,
people will perform better if, literally, like you just said, people will perform better if they feel better.
mhm,
That is literally it. If you're having a shit day and you're feeling shit and you can't get out of that bubble, there's absolutely no way that I am going to be productive. If I'm
mhm.
feeling good and I'm feeling positive and I'm like buzzing, I will get more done.
Yeah, and you know what? My added angle to that is that if you're a social entrepreneur, you have that added motivation to show up as your best self and in a good mood because you're doing good. You're serving other people. You like if you want to help other people, be the best version of you. I think that most people don't even realize as well that leadership is everyone is a leader. They're leading their life and we lead by example. We learn by example. So it doesn't matter whether you have a business or whether you're a service provider, whether you're a parent or whether you're and like every single person is putting something out there in their behavior, in their energy, and it's having a ripple effect. Negative or positive, it doesn't matter. You're
Yeah.
leading by example, whether it's for good or for bad. And people are learning from you and picking up from you for good or for bad, whether it's your friends or like, as a teenager, like I learned from my peers. I attached to my peers
Hmm.
growing up, right? So I was learning from them. So whatever they were learning from home, I was learning from, so it's literally we learn by example and so we lead by example. And I think that being conscious and intentional about how you're leading yourself in your life. I think that that gives you a sense of meaning and for me, one of my core values is meaningful work. And I think that we are in currently a crisis in our world of a lack of meaning and a lack of an identity. And I think that a lot of people are depressed and a lot of people are struggling with their mental health because they don't feel that they have a meaningful life. And so I would actually add that another one of the conditions, I think it ties in with self-creation, self-expression and creativity. But I think that it is having a meaningful like life and finding
Yeah.
purpose, I think is an important one too. Just FYI. So even if that means volunteering, like go and volunteer
Yeah.
1 hour a week.
Even if you just pack bags in at the supermarket for other people, or like, or let someone else in, like do something that is selfless but for other people, because if you make somebody else feel good, you automatically lift your own spirit.
Mhm. Yep.
With the MTM model, where obviously you're doing your PhD so that that can firmly land in the world of us, where do you see it going in the next few years?
Okay. So my goal is to disrupt the mental health industry. I really do hope to one day certify people in MTM, but I do also see textbooks for teens and children's books where we start already kind of educating and empowering people to be their own best resource, to be their own healer, to understand themselves, to know themselves better so that we don't have to do all this catching up as adults
Mhm.
and like reprogramming. And so that for me is the goal in general, like with regards to the mental health piece and MTM. I envision certifying people in it so that it is something, an approach that people can use that maybe like survivors in the future can then get certified in, and then they can use that as a framework to help other survivors.
I love that, and I think it'll be
I had a
amazing.
client. I had a client who came to me and she was on sleeping meds, anti-anxiety meds, benzos from the age of 16, and then sleeping meds from the age of 19. She came to me, she was nearly 30. And benzos you're not supposed to take for more than a couple of weeks, right? And she was on it for
It's
12 years.
wow.
So she was 28. And sleeping meds as well. And she was still having panic attacks and not sleeping well. And when she came to me, we got her off the meds. And she said to me, I wish that when I was 16 and I'd gone to the doctor, he would have sent me to you, someone like you, instead of a psychiatrist. Like instead of prescribe the meds, um, I wish I would have had access to something like MTM that would have helped
Yeah.
me figure out what is at the root of the symptoms and, tried that first. And that for me was a very, very powerful piece of feedback from a client that helped me believe what's possible, right? Like when we're looking for belief and confirmation bias, it
Yeah.
really did. It helped me be like, oh shit, maybe this could be something that could get to GPs, right? Like that they could say, okay, you're struggling with anxiety, you're not sleeping well, let's have a look. What could be the root cause? What could be the problem? Let's go and like help you address that. Or et cetera, et cetera. Like, let's send you to a consultant or a mentor, find your mentor, like whatever, I don't know how it would look because I'm not there yet, but I see potential for it that's my idea, to disrupt the system in that way, that the automatic like default is not
Response,
just
yeah.
pills and talk therapy. I think talk
Yeah.
therapy is very important as a first step. I think many people do really need the talk therapy. I did, like to get the validation, to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel safe, to feel supported. But then there is the next stage, or even a certain demographic from the get go, is looking for something more than that. They're looking for problem solving, not just, being seen, but they want actual
Yeah.
change. And so I think I think it's something that the world needs. So I made it.
With the talk therapy, generally people go there because they haven't verbalized their trauma, and they
Mhm.
need to verbalize that trauma in order to move on to the next step.
Even realized that it was trauma, by the way. I remember when I was told by a shrink, like, "Emily, that's childhood emotional neglect. That's a trauma." And I was just like, "My parents didn't neglect me. Like, I was fed, I was clothed, I was, like, I wasn't that. I was more than that. Like, they were very good parents in very many ways, you know. But there was a few things that were really fucked. That was very emotionally neglectful
Mhm.
and even damaging, right? And so to be like, I remember when she said, I was just like, hold the and I resisted. I was like, no, I wasn't neglected. And then when I looked it up, I was like, holy shit. Like, wow, I didn't even see
Yeah.
it. And I've had clients as well where I've said to them, like, that's not okay what happened to you. Like, that's not normal. That shouldn't have happened to you. And they're just like, what? No, but there are other people, they've been through so much worse and And I was just like, that's really bad. What happened to you? Like,
Yeah.
getting beaten as a child. And they were like, yeah, but everyone gets hit. The parents hit them. And I was like, no,
Mhm.
not everyone.
I know,
And
not
parents
this is
didn't
a
hit.
normal.
And so I feel that, yeah, like traditional talk therapy is very important for validation and feeling seen and heard, and also awareness.
Yeah.
There's a big piece that is very much also like half the battle is being self-aware and becoming
Yeah.
aware and developing also emotional maturity. I feel that when we're traumatized as children, we kind of get stuck emotionally in that age as well. Like trauma really keeps us like stuck in that moment. And in those spaces, we're like, I'm being a victim. I'm not being seen. I'm not being heard. And so then the narrative is victim, 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 victim. We're stuck there like, see me, hear me, see me, hear me. And it isn't allowed to then develop in like emotionally, right? And so we have to sometimes go to traditional talk therapy to feel seen, to feel validated. Yes, you were a victim. Yes, that was not okay. Now let me see you. Let me hear you. And then slowly over time, once you've got what you need from that, you're able to then take the next step and process and then okay, now I can get out of victimhood. Now I can get
Mhm.
out of this victim mentality. Now I can take the next steps. And victimhood and victim mentality, I think, by the way, these terms are like they have negative connotations. No, like they're valid. You were
Mhm.
a victim, right? Like I had a victim mentality for a long time and I was in victim and I deserve to be there. Like I was a victim, right? And
Yeah.
so it's not a bad thing when I say that, but you do want to move out of that. Like in order to, you go from victim to victor to vessel. That
I
is
like that.
that's like the process. I say from what's that, from survivor to self-healer to service provider. Like that's the like the path that I take my people on.
That is literally the same. This is the train that you and I are on at the moment. We're
Yeah.
on the Triple S train.
Yes.
That's the way we're moving. I think it's absolutely so important for people to feel validated and to then be able to solve them because we mask things for so long, whether we mask it by doing different addictive behaviors or we are silenced or whatever that may be. But I think when you say about the MTM model, it will enable people to move forward. And I think that is one of the most important things. It's like we have one life. I put a post up on TikTok the other day. It was Anthony Hopkins talking, and it says you your life is 2 days: the day you're born and the day you die. Everything in the middle is what you need to live. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so crazy. But being in that victim mentality because I've done it and I'm still pretty much in it. I'm on the cusp of it, but I feel like I'm still like fuck, this happened to me, and I'm like this because I'm like this. And I'm like, no, do you know what? I am an amazing person. I'm a lovely human being, and I love helping other people. And I don't need to constantly tell people that I was a victim. But also, if they ask me, I need to tell them, actually, this. But I think there are so many people that either, like you say, stuck in that victim mentality where you're like, no, I'm a victim. I'm just going to stay here. No, you deserve more. Like, yes, it happened to you. Yes, you went through that, but you deserve to live.
Okay, so you're touching here on a very important piece. Carl Rogers said this, that the paradox of change is that the prerequisite is self-acceptance. Don't know if that's the exact quote, but that's the essence of
Hmm.
what he said. And so the idea here is that we want to change because we don't like feeling like this, but you have to accept yourself before you can change. Otherwise, you're like cock blocking yourself from the change, right?
Yeah.
Because you're stuck in this like spiral of shame and judgment and like, well, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Why am I doing this? And what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? That's not the energy that you can grow
Hmm.
from, right? That's negative like energy. So the idea of accepting yourself, like, yes, you are a victim. And yes, and this is part of your process. This is part of the path that you have to walk on to get to that next level or that next stage. And so if that means that right now you still need to share your story and you still need to feel seen and heard, beautiful. Do it. Like that's part of your path. Accept it. Like there's no, the judgment piece is the piece that needs to be worked on. And you know, I'm judging myself. I'm judging myself. Oh my God, why am I'm judging myself for judging myself. That's part of the journey. That is, I remember I did a post about exactly that like 5 years ago. I remember, or 6 years. It was like, when judging yourself for judging yourself is a real like mind fuck, right? But that's also part of the process. And realizing that, okay, this might be a bit much for the skeptics here, but I really believe that everything happens for a reason. Don't kill me for that one. It's a very difficult pill to swallow to say that. And I really wish that there wasn't trauma and hurt and violence and abuse in the world. And it's hard for me coming also I'm from Israel, so war zone, right? Like, how do you say that happens for a reason? Like, I'm allowed to say it because I've been through a shit ton of abuse, so I can say it. But I believe that there is a reason. I don't believe that we go through pain in vain. I don't believe that. And that's what I believe. I believe that there was a reason I went through all the shit that I went through so that I could then transmute it. I can transform it. I can use it. I can leverage it to do good with it. And it is very hard to do that. But I think that the harder the climb, the better the view at the top. So the fact that it was so hard for me and I struggled so hard and I nearly did not make it quite a few times, it makes it that much more incredible as an experience to be where I am today. Like, I cannot put into words. I just end up sobbing. But I cannot put into words how crazy it feels to me that I am where I am. And it is because of what I went through. And I don't wish what I went through on anybody, but I kind of wish people could feel how I feel. I don't, because it is rooted in so much suffering and pain, but the gratitude I think that I feel today. And by the way, before we were recording, I was crying. I can send you a picture because I was like, fuck, like I made it. Like, I'm here and I have, like, the fact that I made it's just nah. The harder the climb, the better the view. That is the analogy for this. And so I do believe that there is a reason, and there is a reason. And when you trust that and you trust that you are being supported, and that's going to be something that's very difficult to do at the beginning, but it comes with the journey as you make progress and as you heal and as you start to then see the blessings, the abundance, the good shit starts coming. It gets so fucking good. I'm learning how to hold more good now. Like, I'm learning to receive more good now because that's not safe to my system, right? My system knows how to struggle and how to be sad and self-loathing, right? So to now recondition my nervous system, right, to feel safe holding good and holding happiness and holding, like, it's overwhelming for me to feel that. That's why I cry, because I'm like, this is too much good. Like, I don't know what to do with all this good, right? So yeah. So just know that that's what's coming when you do this work. But to trust your process, very cliche,
Yeah.
but trust it because it's part of the process, even the shitty bits. And an MTM, I think, is very helpful as a framework. I think in the beginning stages of healing, you'd need a mentor, you'd need a coach, you'd need the guidance to get you through that, to keep you accountable and showing up and committed and activated. Like, one of my videos in my library is activation. It's like, let's get you in the mood of, I can do this, I got this, like, okay, get you back on track. So a lot of the tools that I work with and things are to activate that, to motivate, right? But I feel that you get to a point where you're a service provider, where you're the vessel now, that's when you can really use it on yourself, because there's always another layer. And the shit keeps popping up again and again. That voice of like, oh, what you doing? And oh, who the fuck do you think you are that you're going to be helping people? La 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 la, you know? That's real. The imposter syndrome, the visibility,
That's it. Yeah.
all of these different pieces, it keeps coming up. But if you've got a framework that you can be like, okay, like, I've got this and I can take myself through this. I know what I'm doing. And then over
Hmm.
time, at practice, you build that self-confidence, that self-trust, that self-reliance, it's self-trust, right? And with that comes self-esteem and confidence and everything. And it's like, I've got my back. Like, I've got me. At the end of the day, the only person you have is you. The only person that you actually really, really, really guaranteed will never leave you is you, right?
Yeah.
And so that is like the rock solid foundation that, like, the world can be crumbling down around me and I'm good. I'm solid. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not crumbling.
The way I see it for me is I didn't go through what I went through and come out where I am now not to help other people. There's no discussion. There's no doubt. There's no doubt that I am here, same as I firmly believe we met and you are here to move forward and to be those service providers and to help other people on their self-healing journeys, because hell, there are enough of us out there that need it.
Yeah.
That is the only
But
way
when
I
you
can
look
say that.
back, it makes sense, right? When you're going through it, you're like, what the like, what is happening? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, what did I do like to deserve this? Like, what the fuck? There is no God. There is no whatever. There is no like, what the, but then when you
Yeah.
look back and you're like, if you don't give up, keep going. And then you'll get to the point where you look back and you're like, oh, I get it now. Like, it could have been a bit easier, please. Like, that, did it really have to be that bad? Like, did it
Yeah.
have to be that harsh? But okay, I get it. Like, I see how the dots connect and why I am where I am today and how I got here and why I'm here and why that happened. Obviously, we wish that we didn't have to, but I think that the more you go, the more magical it becomes. Like, I don't have a better word for it, because magic
Yeah.
is like an unexplained phenomenon, and I really do believe that it is unexplainable. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm becoming more and more spiritual and woo on my journey, and I'm also a scientist. So
Yeah.
it's like, but they're, by the way, they're scientific, like science is catching up with the woo, right? But
Yeah.
I do see that it is more of a spiritual healing and development journey, because you really start to see magic. Like, I do also believe that the fact that I met you, like that I manifested you into my life. I feel that every time I say, oh, I need help with something, it falls in my lap. I get it. Like, how do you explain that?
Yeah. You
It's
can't.
magic. Like, we are really good manifestors, and we don't realize that we're always manifesting, whether we want to or we don't. Like, we're manifestors, and you
It's
said law
this
of
law of
attraction.
attraction.
So it's literally what you are putting out. Like, and if you say like, I'm shit, I'm worthless, I don't deserve anything, this happened to me, then that is what you're going to be
Yeah.
experiencing more of, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to like business, right? It's like, when's the money going to come? I'm waiting. Oh, it's going to come. It's going to come. It's going to come. So the universe, whatever, will keep giving you more of it will come. It isn't here yet.
Yeah.
And so it's this idea of, as you go along this journey, especially as a service provider and building a business, social entrepreneurship, right? Like, you're going to see that you can start getting very intentional with your manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that is magical. Like, I manifested my house. I visualized this house in 2020, and in 2022, I bought it. Like, you can't make that kind of shit up. Like, how did I see it? I've never
Yeah.
seen this house before, and it was very specific. So it's as though like the universal powers that be, or whatever you want to call it, said like, I'm going to give you evidence, and I'm going to give you more evidence that there's this magic that exists, right? I'm going to give you these coincidences that you will not be able to explain, but I get it again and again and eventually you're like, this cannot be a coincidence. Like, there's something there. And so, yeah, I'm just saying that it gets magical. And how
Right.
awesome is that? Like, we all want to live a magical
Yeah.
life.
Absolutely. That's all we dream of when we're kids is the magic.
Magic.
Is
Yeah.
the dream.
It's
Right.
conditioned, abused out of us. Fucking
Yes.
abusers.
I have one final question for you, and this is a question that I am saying to all of my guests. I'm calling it the conductor's question. We all aboard the trauma train at some point in our lives. If you could walk on the carriage and sit next to the Emily that first got on, armed with your MTM map that you carry today, what would you guide her forward with?
Okay. Now, remember, you mentioned that this is going to be the question, and I forgot about it because I think it was very hard for me to actually sit with, because one of my other core values is integrity. And I really got to be honest with this one. And the first thing was, when did I get on the trauma train? Because is it when I was diagnosed, or is it before that? Like, which trauma, which bit was it when I was a child and felt rejected and neglected? Like, so I'm trying to first of all think at what age I got on the trauma train. And by the way, as a baby, I was allergic to milk, and I was given a lot of milk as a baby. And so as an infant, I was already essentially traumatized in a way, because I was
Hmm.
constantly being fed something that was bad for my body. So I
Yeah.
didn't sleep very well. And then my behavior was very, like Have you seen a tired, overwired baby that's
Yes,
in
I
pain?
have.
That my mom called me the devil's child, right? So my mother thought me that I was the devil. I was a baby that was helpless and powerless. And so theoretically, I got on the trauma train when I was 0. But what I would say is that you are being supported and that you are not alone. And just wait, because it gets really fucking good. It is magical. You are magical. You are loved. And like, just keep going. Just wait. Patience. Like, wait and see. And I actually feel, I do visualizations where I go inner child healing visualizations. And I kind of have this feeling that I got through a lot of the things. I got through everything in childhood and, later years too, because of the visiting that I'm doing now, the inner child healing work that I'm doing now, like going back to visit. It feels like maybe that's what kept me going, because I don't know if you've heard about the whole like science that they're doing about time, and that time is not linear.
No. I'll have to look
Yeah,
into that.
there's a whole new like field now with quantum physics and all these like beautiful new scientific like research areas where they're proving that time is not linear. Like they did something to an atom or a proton or whatever, and it changed it. Like, before, there's something with the time. I really have to. Okay,
I'll
I'll
have a
Google it
look.
and I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
We can add it in the like a link to the study, but
Yeah.
basically they're proving that time is non-linear. So just want to say, put that one out there, which is a bit out there, I know, but I have this feel like, what was it that kept me going? Like my astrologer, when she saw my birth chart, she's like, I don't know how you're still here. Like, with everything you've been through, like, how are you still here? And I was just like, I don't fucking know how I'm still here. Like, I nearly gave up many times, right? And so I feel like I got myself through in an interesting way.
I love that. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up now. Where can people find you? Can you give me all your like Instagram handles and Facebook names, etc.?
Yes. So emilykatzconsulting.com is my website. I'm actually going to be creating if you're listening to this in the future, the metatherapymodel.com as well. But emilykatzconsulting.com is my current website, and Facebook, Instagram. Facebook is Emily Katz. Instagram and TikTok currently is Beyond Therapy with Emily. But that could change because I kind of like to rebrand every year or so. I believe in trusting the process and evolving with the things, and fuck perfectionism. Just do what feels right and aligned in the moment. So currently it's Beyond Therapy with Emily, but that may change in the future.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So, to all the listeners, obviously, there have been a lot of triggers in here. If you need support, go and get it. Phone calls, websites, everything. If you do have any comments, just pop them below, and remember to subscribe, like, and share. I need to always say that because I have to do that because I can't remember it. Subscribe, like, and share. And if anything resonated with you, or would resonate with one of your friends or family, then please share with them. If you want to find me, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, on TikTok, at Riding the Trauma Train. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me today on Riding the Trauma Train. I'm Lydia, and I feel privileged to share this space with you. No matter where you are on this train right now, whether it's in survival mode, slowly finding your feet in recovery, or maybe it's somewhere in between, remember, you are not alone in what you're feeling, and you do not have to travel this journey by yourself. So if you'd like to continue traveling together, please follow Riding the Trauma Train wherever you're listening, so you can join us at the next stop. Until next time, take care.